What is going on, people? Welcome to another pod. We got a lot to discuss today, man. We got a lot to discuss. Obviously, I'm a little upset that my Chiefs lost the Super Bowl. No, it's fine. I mean, they played an okay game. Obviously, I feel like they just needed to get busier on the first half of the game, and at least go one touchdown uh, on halftime, because obviously in the second half we were gonna get the ball back. So if we could have scored before halftime and then have the ball after halftime, and we could have probably, done something there. But they just, their offense is, first of all, is fucking amazing. Shout out to Jalen Hurts and all the team of the Eagles, man. Their offense is insane. Saquon Barkley, however, got kind of shut down. He didn't really do much. Was kind of surprised. I really had him getting more, just getting more action in general. He didn't really do a lot, but hey, the Chiefs did a good job at kind of shutting him down. But hey, man, I mean, fuck, their offense is amazing. Their defense was really fucking good as well. And yeah, it's just, it just wasn't our year, and it happens. It happens, okay? It wasn't our year. And yes, okay, all of you haters, all right, yes, you got what you wanted. The Chiefs finally lost. Okay, wow, get over it. They're still probably one of the best fucking teams in the NFL. So yeah. However, I do have kind of a prediction, and I'm not gonna get too much into it because obviously this is not a NFL channel, but the Super Bowl did just happen. So I'm gonna have a prediction that I think the Chiefs are not gonna go to the Super Bowl, at least in the next couple of years. Like, I think, I mean, we were at its peak, bro. Fucking 3 Super Bowl appearances in a row. Like, that's peaking, bro. You know what I mean? So if there's one thing we see from any sport, any athletes, you know what I mean, is at some point kind of diminishes. And I mean, you can see it a little bit, not with Patrick. Patrick is still obviously young and stuff like that, but with some of the other team, like fucking like Chris Jones and like fucking Travis Kelce, more Travis Kelce than anybody else. Travis Kelce was just not on it. He was very heavily guarded the entire season, but he is also just, he was guarded seasons prior. So I mean, it is what it is. But I don't know, this year he just didn't really have it. Retirement was always, I think, one thing that I've been hearing a lot from other people. So we'll see. I mean, the guy's got all the fucking money in the world, man. He's fucking dating fucking Taylor Swift. Like, do they really need does he willing to play another season to get more money? Like, I mean, he doesn't, but he might. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, man, no, shout out to the Eagles. They deserve it, man. Well deserved. And yeah, man, it was a good game overall. I had a fun time with fans and friends, and I hope all of you guys did too, man. So shout out. And yeah, we obviously have UFC 312 that took place this Saturday night over there in Australia, mate. Australia, what the fuck? Oh wait, no, that's kind of artish. Sorry, that's artish. But yeah, we had obviously DDP taking on Sean Strickland for the middleweight strap for all the marbles. Obviously, we had DDP completely dominating Sean Strickland for 5 straight rounds. 2 judges gave it to DDP 50-45, so that's all rounds. I mean, that is fucking impressive against a tough guy like Sean Strickland. And let me kind of break it down. So obviously we had Sean Strickland, who is a volume fighter, and he's also very rugged. And he does have some knockout power and stuff like that, but it's rare we see a knockout from him. But I mean, he almost KO'd Izzy, so that's that has got to say something for his power. And we also hear that he has good wrestling, even though he never really uses it on fights. He's always primarily just striking. So, and then we had DDP, who is, I know, or we knew before the fight, that he was just more well-rounded overall, bodied up, so I'm a little bit more explosive and more athletic than Sean Strickland. But the thing that Sean had going for him, and this is why he's been going for him his fights, is pretty much his boxing. He's got phenomenal boxing, and just down to the basics, down to the fucking meat and potatoes, he has phenomenal boxing, phenomenal technique, and he's been able to utilize that, right, to shut down guys. And then over that, he also applies pressure. He moves forward. A lot of his prior fights, he's got that beautiful boxing, and then just continue to push guys, keeping guys on their back heels, and Sean just pushing forward. So I would imagine that was his game plan going into this fight. And unfortunately, I don't think it just didn't happen. For Dreykus, he did a great job at just applying the pressure more than Sean, landing just overall more strikes, right? Like he mixed up the kicks really well. He mixed up some elbows really well. And then obviously ended up shattering Sean Strickland's nose. I think he said that his nose shattered in not three, 6 places. He said it was so shattered then that it was easy to put it back together because if it's broken, and probably, I don't know how it really works, but if it was so shattered that you can just probably move it anyway, and it would have gone wherever you wanted it to go. And DDP realized this. Obviously, he immediately went to touching the nose, and DDP realized. So he attacked. He tried to get the finish, but I mean, Sean is just tough to put away, bro. Even with a broken nose. Tell me what. Tell me this. How many fighters would? I don't want to insult anybody. I don't want to like call anybody a pussy. I myself obviously have never been in the octagon, and I'm not a fighter at all. But I just gotta imagine that there's a number of fighters out there that would shatter their nose like that, realize how bad it is, and just quit. And not quit like throwing the towel, but just kind of like get down on the floor and just get in position and just hope that your opponent just kind of, hits you enough so that the ref stops the fight. I have to imagine there's a big number of guys out there in the UFC and in MMA in general that would do that. They would get hit like that. As soon as you realize your nose is shattered, you act like it's a knockdown and you go down and you kind of wish for the fight to be over. Like, again, I don't want to insult anybody or call anybody anything. Even if it's not a big number, it probably is not a big number. Most of the MMA guys, I mean, most everybody is fucking just manly men. You know what I mean? But there has to be a number out there. What is the number? You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that, fuck, dude, to realize that, fuck, now I got to fight with this fucked up ass nose, can't even breathe. It's got to be so tough. So what I was getting to is fucking shout out to Sean Strickland, man, for fucking hanging in there, shatter nose, you're losing, you're getting beat up, and you shatter your nose. It would have been easy to throw in the towel at that point. It would have been so easy to throw in the towel. He would have said, well, fuck, I already lost 3 rounds. Why would I risk my nose getting shattered even more? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, shout out to him for hanging in tight. So let's also talk about the possibility that he had staph infection, right? Because this was brought up. We saw it in his arm. We saw the big old fucking right there, just a fucking marble, just fucking a volcano, bro, ready to pop or already being popped. And it was huge. It was massive. And yeah, I mean, the experts, the people that like Joe Rogan and people like that, and the guys that are on James a lot, they were saying that's staph. That's fucking staph infection, So obviously that would play a factor on the fight, right? Not taking nothing away from DDP, but that would 100% play a factor depending on if Sean is in any type of medication or treatment or anything like that. I know they have to take antibiotics, to kind of heal from staph. So it's tough because when you're on that type of medication, you're not going to be 100%. Your body's going to be definitely weaker, and you're not going to be able to perform at a 100%. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Sean never even thought of pulling out. I mean, this guy is a fucking savage, bro. The thought of pulling out because of staph probably never even crossed his fucking mind. This is a guy that fucking rode a motorcycle and ate shit fucking a week before his fight, on the vlogs from UFC. So this guy's a maniac. He is not gonna pull out of a fight for staph infection. So that's yet another thing that, shout out. That's the fucking killer mentality, man. But that being said, holy shit, is Dreykus fucking good. He is so fucking good. I think he's 100% now solidified himself. Obviously when he got the belt, it was look at the way the first time he beat Strickland. Look at what people were saying back then. Look at what Dana White was saying back then, right? He had almost everybody scored it for Sean Strickland. But honestly, it doesn't even matter that much because when Dana White comes out and he says, I could say whatever, other YouTubers and stuff like that can say whatever, but it doesn't really matter because when the president of the UFC himself comes out and he gives you his opinion, then that's fucked because that influences almost all the fans, almost everybody. And now you fucked your champion, right? That was like DDP had a very rocky start of his championship because Dana White pretty much did not acknowledge that he was the actual champ. It's pretty much what he did. But boy, look at him now. After stopping and finishing Adesanya, right? That was his first legit defense, and then now fucking completely dominating Sean Strickland. I think DDP has solidified himself as one of the best middleweights. Definitely the best right now. Ever, not yet. Obviously you still have AZ's record to beat. You'll have Anderson Silva's record to beat. But DDP, he did say that's where he wants to go eventually. So shout out to him, man. So yeah, let me just see what I have more about the fight here. So before I move on a little bit. So yeah, I think I pretty much touched on almost everything. It was just, complete domination for 5 rounds. Who the fuck was the judge that gave Sean? I think he gave him like 1 round or 2. I don't remember, but who the fuck was that judge? He landed a beautiful spinning elbow. I love all that spinning shit. In my heart, I gotta say, I'm a little bit of a casual because obviously I love all that spinning shit, all that flashy shit, and who doesn't? Even if you're not a casual, who doesn't appreciate a fucking spinning beautiful elbow or a fucking beautiful spinning back kick or something like that? You know what I mean? Everyone's appreciated, and the casual in me wants to see somebody getting knocked out with that. So I appreciated that. That was fucking beautiful. And yeah, just landing some great shots and staying busy on the feed and on the kicks, on the low kicks from very early on. I'm sure that also played a huge factor in the fight. So yeah, man, shout out to DDP. Now, as far as what's next for him and for Sean, I like what DDP said. DDP said, well, I think one of his main options here is, because you lost to the champ twice, so you're not getting a title shot now. Maybe ever. Maybe, you have to be undeniable, but he's not getting a title shot right away for sure. So he has to go back down the queue. You look here at the rankings and you see who makes sense. And DDP said, hey, what about Izzy? And yeah, I agree. I think you have Izzy there, who will potentially want to have that rematch against Sean and potentially get that back. And that would be a great back for him to kind of get back in the winning column, if he's able to get past Sean. Another name that's right there is Robert Whittaker. I'm actually surprised. I don't think Sean Strickland and Robert Whittaker have ever fought. Let me double check because I'm not 100% sure. I know Strickland has fought almost fucking everybody. No, they have never fought, which is crazy considering, both of them have been at the top of the division for a little while. So you have that little triangle, a little love triangle right there of Izzy and Sean Strickland and Whittaker, who were formerly at the top. Now they're in the mid-range of the division, right? And now they have to kind of fight each other again, but this time not for the belt. So I'm excited for some of those potential matchups. Even, we'll be watching no matter what, right? So, and then for DDP, by the way, sorry if you hear my dog. He is snoring so loud right now. He is just knocked out. For DDP, man, there's 2 fights that make sense right now, obviously. The main one would be, because he called him out right at the fucking post-fight interview with DC. He called out Alex Pereira. So that's what's in everybody's minds. That's what is fresh in everybody. But then most people don't see, or maybe you don't, but he goes on the press conference and he says, well, actually, I know I called out Pereira, but Khamzat is next. And yeah, I agree with both of those. I wouldn't mind if he fought Alex, but I just know that's not going to happen. I think the fight is there after Khamzat. Bro, with how good DDP is looking right now, I think he'd be not a huge, but a decent favorite against Khamzat. With the 2 title defenses that he just had against legends, right? One of them, the former champ. I think he would be a massive favorite against Khamzat. I mean, to me, obviously, that's the fight that makes sense right now. Obviously, I would love to see him against Pereira at 205. That'll be amazing, especially because DDP is a fucking huge guy, bro. He's bodied up. He's not that tall, but he's thick and just so muscular. And I mean, compared to Izzy, compared to Strickland and Robert and all these other guys, he is muscled up, bro. And he looks like he's a fucking. He looks like he belongs at 205, really, but he doesn't have the height. He's not that tall. So obviously against Alex Pereira would be an amazing move, and it would be perfect for the fans, for the viewers. You know what I mean? But realistically speaking, Pereira is fighting Ankalaev here pretty soon, and I think maybe about by summertime, DDP would probably be fighting again against Khamzat Chimaev. I think that's the next move 100%. Imavov was on the talk there. He was brought up, obviously, because he just had a very impressive knockout against Izzy. And I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it that we're talking about the same Izzy, right, that dominated a while ago. It's 0-3 right now, and he got knocked out twice. So I don't know. It's fucked. Or sorry, choked out once, and then knocked out once. But he got knocked down anyways by DDP. So same shit. Fuck you. The fact that we're talking that about Izzy is crazy. But anyways, Imavov was brought up. And, DDP had a great point. By the way, DDP, amazing on the mic. I mean, I'm taking all of his sound bites because he's saying a lot of the right things, bro. Like, he's also a smart dude. He pretty much said that Imavov would make sense, but it has to be Khamzat because he understands. Again, he's a smart dude. That it's all about money and pay-per-view as well. He said, well, guys, what sells more pay-per-views? Me versus Khamzat or me versus Nasruddin Imavov? And duh. Obviously, Khamzat is a massive, massive superstar in the entire world, not just in the US, in the entire world. He's been on a hype train ever since he joined the UFC. So, yeah, this guy has a massive hype behind him. So, obviously, that's what makes sense. The timing is right. Khamzat, you have to assume he's healthy right now and just needs to, obviously DDP is going to take a few months off, but you would assume that Khamzat right now is in a good state. He hasn't fought in a little while, so he has to be in a good state to start camp, and in the next couple of months, I would imagine. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them for International Fight Week. That's what Dreykus also himself said. Sometimes around the summer. I think it's around June or July. That would be pretty fucking awesome. Dude, stop snoring. Holy shit. He's knocked out, boys. I wish I could show him to you. He's just knocked out and snoring. So if you hear him, my bad again. So yeah, I mean, that's for sure. That's what makes sense. The Alex Pereira fight, it's there. Especially because I'm actually feeling quite confident that DDP can get past against Khamzat. Khamzat is this big, scary boogeyman that everybody, again, he's had a massive hype from a very long time. And I think that people are gonna again underestimate DDP. All right. Yes, Khamzat has phenomenal wrestling, but so does DDP. And DDP, I think, has the weight advantage. You know what I mean? I think Khamzat is very rarely face guys that are small, that are bigger than him and heavier than him. And I think they're going to step on the scale and obviously make weight. But I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, Khamzat has had some issues with weight. You know what I mean? But I think if DDP steps on the scale and then steps in the fight, he's going to be significantly heavier than Khamzat coming fight night. So that's one thing, and I just don't know how you stop DDP right now, bro, especially because now he obviously is now building his championship round experience, you know what I mean? And that's a huge factor. That's a huge factor when you had two guys that one of them has been in those championship fights and another one hasn't. Obviously, Khamzat hasn't. Historically, we also see that Khamzat, as the fight goes longer, he gets tired. That Kamaru Usman fight, he did really well against Kamaru the first round, like round and a half. And then right around the middle, towards the end of the fight, Kamaru was starting to have success. And a lot of people said if that fight is 5 rounds, Kamaru wins 100%. So Khamzat is a guy that he has to finish you in the first or earlier in the second round. And from there, it kind of is downhill. The odds go downhill. Not that he can still win. He can still win a decision fight, I think, but I think he has to do a lot of adjusting. Again, Khamzat, if he fights DDP, the way we've seen him fight historically this last couple of years, he's not going to win that fight. He's not going to be the dude that wants it more, that is more professional, and that is more dedicated as DDP. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I think, again, people are still going to overlook DDP because I don't think he's going to deserve. He's not going to get the love he deserves until he beats Khamzat. And then if he does go and fight Alex and then does pretty well, that's where he would then become a massive, massive superstar. I mean, he already is in his country, but you saw it. I mean, he's the one that was getting bullied this weekend, and people were obviously Sean also has a crazy, massive following. I mean, it's fucking wild. So yeah, I mean, depending on the fight is, depending where it is, but overall, I think online and just overall the consensus, DDP is still not a massive superstar, the way he should be. But he will. Again, he will. He has the chances. I think he has very, very good odds against Khamzat. And who knows? You know what I mean? Against Alex, he could do very well. Although that's where I hop off the train. I think if he were to move up and fight Alex Pereira, I do think that DDP would get knocked out. I think that's what would happen. It's tough. It's very tough to ever bet against Alex Pereira at 205. That's right now he is the king of that division. Nobody can touch him. And yeah, it could happen. It could happen. Alex has a lot of opportunities, man. Alex, I think I talked about this before. He's a guy that has probably one of the most opportunities right now. Maybe Max Holloway has also big opportunities because he's still kind of in between featherweight and lightweight. And even at lightweight, he hasn't fought anybody. So, well, he fought Justin Gaethje, but other than that, he hasn't fought a lot of people. So there's a lot of massive potential fights, fun for him at lightweight. But same for Alex Pereira. I mean, look, now he has yet another challenge ahead of him. He has Ankalaev, he has now DDP, and then potentially he has either John Jones or Tom Aspinall, depending on, what the UFC decides to do there. So I think both those guys have a lot of options. So yeah, I mean, shout out to both these dudes, man. So Dricus, champion overall through and through. Glad to see that he's finally getting the recognition he kind of deserves, but not there yet, man. He's going to be a superstar if he gets past Khamzat Chimaev, which again, I think he has a very good chance at doing it. So, for Nasruddin and people like that, like I think Nasruddin just kind of waits there. You know what I mean? I think if Dricus decides to not move up still stay at middleweight and still defend the title after Khamzat, then I think Nasruddin would be next. Nasruddin would be a clear next option, especially because, he just defeated the former champ, Izzy. So yeah, and then obviously you have the winner of that love triangle that I just told you about. Izzy, Rob, and then potentially Sean Strickland. I think Sean might take some time off due to the broken nose, obviously. But who knows? We'll see. This division has finally opened up. This is what happens when a new champ comes in and starts beating guys and now starts to build a record for himself. It's the sweet spot. Okay, when the champ is at 2 to 3 to even 4 title defenses. Not 4, maybe like 2 to 3 title defenses. It's a sweet spot that they still have some contenders to fight, and so it's opening up opportunities. But once the guy has slapped a whole weight class and have 4 or 5 plus, because out of 10 guys in the top 10, there's always going to be at least 5 to 6 that are coming off losses or that need to get a few more wins, So as far as the real contenders there, again, about 5 or 6, once you lap those guys, there's not much there, you know what I mean? And that's when the whole weight class kind of becomes boring. Not saying that Izzy was like a boring fighter, but at one point they needed to, he had nobody to fight, until Alex came along. So right now it's the sweet spot of the middleweight division, right? Because then you also have contenders that are fighting to get that number 1 contender spot. So yeah, right now it's very exciting time for that division. I wish them both the best. Shout out to Sean. I hope he bounces back and gets back in the win column. And yeah, shout out to Dricus, the champ, man. The co-main event was actually very decent. And We had, Tatiana Suarez going against Zhang Weili Zhang, for the strap of the women's division. The big conversation here was that Tatiana Suarez was going to be the one to come in, take down Zhang Weili because she was this amazing wrestler, and with a damn near perfect record. I mean, if you look at her record, she was completely undefeated, 11-0. Coming into this fight now, she's 11-1. But yeah, I mean, Zhang Weili said it perfectly before the fight. She said, there's your wrestling that you've been doing, and the traditional wrestling from coming from college and stuff like that, and there's also MMA wrestling. And she said that Zhang Weili has the MMA wrestling down to a lock. You know what I mean? And she did. She wasn't lying at all. I mean, holy shit. She completely, again, just another dominated fight. But sorry, before I move on, I want to talk about the DDP versus Sean Strickland, because I just thought about this for the women's fight too. If you look at the striking, it was a lot closer than people might think. You know what I mean? I feel like some of the rounds Sean lost, but not by much. Don't get me wrong, he still got dominated for 5 rounds, but I feel like at least 2 to 3 rounds he wasn't that far back. You know what I mean? Especially probably like round number 1 for sure. Maybe like 2 or 3. I don't know. But if you look at the strikes, I mean, the total strikes was 149 for one versus 128 for Dreykus. So that's not that big of a difference. Significant strikes was 147 for 128. Not that big of a difference either. Sorry, my dog is making weird noises as he's sleeping. And let's see here. Yeah, I mean, overall, the stats were not that one-sided, right? If you look at, I'm using the ESPN website. If you look at Dreykus's little photo of his body, yeah, they have a photo of his body. He looks very red all across the upper torso, and Sean Strickland looks very red across the lower and the middle torso as well. So, it's just a matter of DDP edging those rounds, sometimes not by a lot, but still edging those rounds. But anyways, I was mentioning that because for the women's fight, it is a little bit more one-sided. For example, right, we have Zhang Weili having 230 total strikes versus Tatiana's 63, and 53 significant strikes versus Tatiana's 12, 32 to the head versus 1 for Tatiana, 16 to the body versus 2 for Tatiana, and yeah, the control is double, you know what I mean? 1 takedown for each. But yeah, and then 1 submission attempt for Weili. So, it's just kind of the similar story as DDP versus Sean. Is Zhang Weili just proving to be the more, this one was more about experience. This one was more about having the championship experience and having the fucking cardio, being able to shut down your opponent at their own game, which is kind of what that DDP did, but it was a little bit different. Shout out to Zhang Weili. I mean, that was an impressive performance. Dominated Tatiana Suarez when a lot of people had, God, she was a fucking underdog, bro. Tatiana was the favorite. Like, give me a fucking break here. Like, how is the challenger the favorite, especially going against someone like Zhang Weili, who, mind you, she's had a few losses, but she's also faced the who's who of that division. You know what I mean? She is 35 years old, but I mean, she's fought the who's who. The only loss she has is against Rose Namajunas. Other than that, she's been just beating women up. And she obviously had that fantastic fight against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That was probably one of the best women's fights ever. Arguably one of the best fights ever for both men and women. Arguably, you know what I mean? So when you put it into that perspective, you wonder, why the fuck is she an underdog? That makes no fucking sense. It makes no fucking sense. And again, Vegas just looks at, I feel like Vegas do look at some of that online talk, some of that, some of that YouTube talk on fighters. Because, yeah, I mean, a lot of people were hyping up Tatiana. I myself was too. My prediction from last week was that I thought Tatiana was going to win. By the way, I mean, I got that one wrong, but I did go for DDP, so I got that one right. I did predict it maybe by finish. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but it is what it is. But yeah, it was a matter of Zhang Wei Li showing that traditional college wrestling here, it works sometimes for some people, but when you're as good as her at just at MMA and at MMA wrestling, you can shut that shit down. You can totally shut that shit down. Shut that shit down. So, shout out for her, man. As far as what's next, I do believe she wishes to move up and challenge. Let's see here, Valentina Shevchenko. You know what I mean, for the flyweight strap, which I wouldn't mind at all, especially because at strawweight, I mean, there's no big names that pop up right now and come to mind as strawweight. So obviously she has been dominant at strawweight. Rose Namajunas would be the only kind of other chick that's there, but she's already also moved up, I think, to flyweight, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe bantam. No, she's not flyweight. She defeated Tracy Cortez last year. I don't know, or I don't remember when exactly, but she's there. But obviously, Zhang Weili is a champ, so Zhang Weili would cut directly to Valentina, which I think could happen. I don't see why not. I don't see why not, especially because, obviously, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything. I'll be the first to tell you that some of these female fighters are so fucking good and some of their fights are better than the men's fights. But obviously, there is still a huge favoritism. I mean, we've just this past month, a few months, we've had cards that are been strictly only male, right? So obviously, and it's just about volume. Obviously, there's not as many female fighters. I'm not saying there's like favoritism from the UFC or anything, but there's not as much competition. It's just what it is. There's probably triple, if not quadruple, the number of MMA male fighters than female fighters. You know what I mean? And there are obviously great ones. I'm not getting into any of that, but there's just nobody right now for Zhang Weili. So obviously, to keep the entire women's division spicy and attract numbers, and don't let it just, because for 2025 the women's division was not that great. It was not. They didn't have that many like crazy fights as they did. When Amanda Nunes is now gone, obviously like Joanna Jędrzejczyk was gone for a while. Like Holly Holm is gone. Ronda Rousey's been gone for a while. They haven't had any fucking like burst of like probably Amanda Nunes and like Joala Pena was one of the last times that like some of the women's fight, the first fight, not the second one, the first fight that fucked these women. You know what I mean? So ever since then, they haven't had anything huge. So I think they definitely need now a mega fight between two champs. I think that would help out a lot. It will help out tremendously. And I mean, we will love to see that. We will love to see that. It's always great to find out who is the best amongst, another weight class as well. Valentina, I mean, fuck, though, it's going to be a tough chick to beat, especially being much heavier than Zhang Weili, of course. Who knows? I don't know what Zhang Weili walks around, but I imagine Valentina, it's a little bit bigger than her. Either way, that would be a fantastic fight. So looking forward to that. Next up on the card, we did have Justin Tafa versus Talison Teixeira. This one I also fucked it up. I predicted Tafa to win. I did say that Teixeira could do something, especially because if you look at his fucking record, this guy's a fucking finisher. I was with a friend watching the fight, and he didn't really know him as well, but he knew Justin Tafa, and he was like, "Oh, bro, I got Tafa," and I was like, "Really? Easy bet, $5." You know what I mean? And because he didn't know his record for Teixeira, and once I told him, he was like, "Oh shit," and he got scared, and exactly that's what happened. Fucking first round finish for Talison Teixeira. And it's good that we're getting more contenders in that division, because obviously the heavyweight division is probably not one of the most stuck divisions right now. There's not a lot of contenders, and then there's obviously two champions that are probably maybe not going to fight this year or next year. You know what I mean? It's a lot of uncertainty right now, right there. So it just brings excitement that there's yet another contender, because then we also had Sergey Pavlovich a few weeks ago get a dub. So, now you have two potential contenders that are there. You know what I mean? You have Talison Teixeira and obviously Sergey Pavlovich. So, I don't know. For Talison, maybe still not right away, but he definitely needs a couple more wins before he does anything that involves a title shot. So, yeah, I mean, but hey, the guy right now has a fucking pristine record. All fucking finishes, bro. The guy is 100% a finisher and completely undefeated. So, shout out, man. That was a fantastic fight. The rest of the card was okay. The Jake Matthews fight was cool. Oh, the Jimmy Crute fight was really good as well. Shout out to those boys. The one that I wanted to talk about though as well. Oh yeah, the Jimmy Crute was a draw. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a very close fight. Shout out. The one I wanted to talk about was the Topuria fight. Let's see, I forget the names. Alexander Topuria versus Colby Thicknees. Thicknees. This was fun because I don't fully remember. I was just getting to the bar when this fight was going on, and I don't fully remember. I heard that, and I don't know how I fucking didn't catch this last episode when I was going through the card, but I completely missed that Topuria was fucking Topuria's brother. I did not know that Alexandra Topuria's was Ilya Topuria's brother. I mean, I did know because like he's been in like a few embeddeds and stuff like that, and Taporia has talked about him, but I just didn't put it two and two together because I did remember Taporia said a few months ago or a few weeks ago that his brother was gonna make a UFC debut, and I just didn't put two and two together. When I saw just his first name, I just completely dismissed that his last name was Taporia. I found out after I filmed the episode, so boo, fucking fuck me, right? But I also didn't know that Colby was gonna have Volk in his corner, and obviously Alexandre had Ilya in his corner, so that was exciting to potentially have something there. But obviously nothing happened. Well, both of them are professionals. So yeah, I mean that was the rest of the card, man. It was really fun overall. On paper, oh, the another fight that I really like was Tom Nolan versus Vyacheslav Borshev. That was a great fight. It was close. It was unanimous. And yeah, I mean, over that, on paper, this card wasn't as strong, but I did watch a few of the prelims and I did watch all of the main card, and it was pretty good. It was pretty entertaining. Some finishes here and there, nothing crazy. But yeah, it was a fantastic main card, and that's what matters. And we had both and stills. That's crazy. I think it's fun to kind of look at cards like that, right? If there's multiple championship fights in that card, is who gets the NU and who gets the all still. You know what I mean? Like that would have been crazy. Like imagine like of UFC 300, there was what, three title fights, I think. Imagine if that all of them are NU. Like that would be fucking wild, and that would be pretty historic for a card. The next thing I wanted to talk about was now stepping out of UFC and going into boxing. We break down boxing in this channel every once in a while. I don't break it down as much as I would like to because I'm not as in-depth, detail paying attention to boxing as I am with MMA. I watch just kind of like the big fights, the Ryan Garcias, the Canelos, and obviously like the Jake Pauls. I really liked that. Like the more I got into boxing was probably when all the heavyweights were fighting, like when Fury was fighting fucking Deontay Wilder, and obviously he had a few fights right now against Usyk, and when Joshua was fucking great, and he's still great, but we know when he was fucking dominating back in the day. So I got into boxing back then, but I never watched like prelims or anything like that. So, but I do pay attention to like all this Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Conor McGregor type of bullshit. You know what I mean? Even though a lot of times it feels like bullshit, but Jake Paul this week taking some stabs at one of the fucking goats of the sport, obviously Canelo. And it's just so ridiculous to me. Jake Paul, to me, he is not in a position to say anything about Canelo after that fiasco of the Mike Tyson fight, after that fucking fiasco. On paper, it wasn't a fiasco because they both made a fuck ton of money. You know what I mean? But for the true fans, not for the 12-year-olds that are his fans, but for true fight fans, that was a horrendous fight to watch. It was horrendous. It wasn't competitive at all. It was clearly just a fucking not even a 50% sparring session, and it was shitty. So he obviously did that for the money grab, right? And now he's calling Canelo out for. But by the way, I don't even know what the fuck is going on because I just can't keep up with some of this news. I heard that there was rumors of Jake Paul fighting Canelo. I heard rumors that a date was set, but I think it later come on that Canelo didn't deny it, didn't say no, but I did see that he signed a deal, a 4-fight deal with Riyadh, which obviously would mean he would fight, people like Terence Crawford, maybe like someone like Errol Spence or someone maybe like a Bivol rematch. Like those are the fights that Canelo is pursuing right now. You know what I mean? He's even though he's older and he's talked about, some retirement in the near future. Even though he said that, he's still pretty much super competitive, and he's still one of the pound for pound best in the sport. And that's what he wants to do. So how dare Jake Paul say he's money hungry, say he avoided him to make more money? Motherfucker, that's what you've been doing your entire career. You've just gone where the money is. That's all you've done. You've just gone where the money is. That's all you've fucking done your entire career. And you proved that at its highest level against the Mike Tyson fight. So Jake Paul cannot say absolutely nothing. You know, but it kind of pisses me off that it still could happen. I don't know why the Saudis couldn't, throw money around and obviously make it happen. 100% that could happen in this year or next year. You know what I mean? If the money is right, but again, Canelo, it's not really all about the money right now. He's made the fucking bro. He's got all the fucking money in the world. Are you kidding me? He's damn near have to be a billionaire. He fucking is chasing still some of those competitive fights. But hey, he did say it. I think it was in the Nelk episode that he would entertain it once he's retired, once he's not fighting for belts. Because, first of all, if let's say he does fight Jake Paul, it would 100% have to be an exhibition because there's not a chance in hell. There's not a chance in hell that it would be for any type of real belt that Canelo has. There's not a chance in hell with the number of, boxing. Boxing is deep, bro. Contender-wise and people that are waiting in the queue, it's deep, way deeper than MMA, way deeper than MMA. So with as deep as the divisions are and all the fighters that are waiting to just even get a shot at Canelo, he's had to pull some fighters out of nowhere because he's also beat almost everybody. But it's still a deep ass sport. So for Jake Paul to just skip all those guys and just fucking frog leap over them and get a shot at the king? Nah, that's not right. That's absolutely not right. Listen, at one point, and if you listen to this channel for a few years, which I fucking doubt, but at one point I was on board with the Jake Paul train. I said, you know what? He's fighting semi-dangerous guys. He is entertaining, and he actually might take a few professional fights. You know what I mean? And he did. He took a few, but like against nobodies. The one professional fighter he fought against Tommy Fury, he lost. So I literally completely got off the wagon, off the train with this Mike Tyson fight. I just could not take him serious after that. I could not take him serious from everything, from the entrance to the lead up of the fight, to the entrance, to the actual fight, to after the fight. It was just all very WWE. Very, very fishy, very scammy. You can tell they were not expecting a real fight. He made so much fucking money just off a fucking sparring fight against a 60-year-old. Like, it's actually fucking disgusting. It's actually fucking disgusting, bro. You know what I mean? So for that guy to now just skip everybody at lightweight or whatever fucking division Canelo, he's welterweight, I think, right? It just makes no fucking sense. I mean, he bounces off a few divisions, right? But it just makes no fucking sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So if they do fight, it has to be an exhibition. 100% it has to be an exhibition. There's no way that it could be for any belt that's real. If you want to make up a belt, a bullshit belt, like, the fucking king of fucking influencers or whatever, yeah, go ahead and do it, but just don't call it a real belt. You know what I mean? And listen, it's boxing, and this is what pisses me off more, that Jake Paul actually does have a very slim, but does have a chance. Anything could happen, bro. Canelo's a little bit older. Jake Paul is young and a little bit explosive, even though, you know, Canelo's probably got the fight in the bag if I have to be 100% honest. But you never know. I'll entertain that. I'll go as far as entertain that if they do fight, Jake Paul has at least a one KO punch, attempt at actually winning. And listen, that's been not even take Jake Paul out of the picture. Take him out of the picture. If Canelo fights the number 10 or the number 15 guy who's a nobody, that guy also has a chance. You know what I mean? Hell, put me in there and I have at least a chance. They're slim, and obviously they get way, way slimmer as the record is to go on. So all I'm saying is that even if it's a 1% chance, it's still there. You know what I mean? People sometimes hit the jackpot. People sometimes get that perfect hand in blackjack or poker. You know what I mean? It happens. It happens, brother. Sometimes that parlay hits. It happens, my guy. So that's what pisses me off more, that there's a world, there's a universe. You know, if you want to talk about the multiverse, there's actually a universe out there where Jake Paul probably will beat Canelo. You know what I mean? And that is absolutely fucking ridiculous for me to say. But I'm saying it, and you know, it is what it is. As far as UFC goes, man, we don't have a lot for a little while. We have a few fight nights here. Let me see. We have Jared Cannonier versus G Rod. Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Rodriguez. That should be a good fight. It's this Saturday, this weekend. I like when there's back-to-back cards. Don't give me 2 weeks off. This is fucking great. We have Calvin Kattar in the comments. Hey, shout out. He had obviously one of the best fights also against Max Holloway. You know, more for Max Holloway, but shout out Calvin Kattar. He made it a fight, and even though he got pieced up and completely he got his face completely renovated. Let's say that. He still hung in there and remained dangerous through the whole fight, really. And yeah, we had a few other fighters there, you know, nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? I did just see that the UFC is gonna come to Kansas City, bro. Shout out. I might make an appearance. You know what I mean? We'll see. I don't know. Tickets are fucking expensive, even for a fight night. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, I might make an appearance. Who knows? It's also around my birthday, so maybe one of my family members or maybe my beautiful fiance can pay for one of my fights. My very first fight UFC. My very first UFC fight. I've never been to UFC fights, so that would be actually tremendous. Why am I just stuck in this fucking website? Can you please do something? Then we have Henry Cejudo. Wow, this is on February 22nd, so we have 1 week off? No, not 1 week off. 3 weeks in a row. That's what I love to see. We have Henry Cejudo, who is making a comeback. I thought he was retired, but I guess he ain't. Going on against Song Yadong for a bantamweight bout. I was gonna say strap, but it's not for a strap. For a bantamweight bout, number 7 versus number 8 makes sense. I think that obviously that fight plus one more could get you in there in the top 3. So big implications here. I like that. Oh yeah, we have Brandon Royval versus Manel Cape. Oh yeah, I saw that. Manel Cape. Manel Cape. I saw that they haven't changed it in the website, in the UFC website, but it did. Oh no, wait, sorry. Yeah, Royval dropped out. Sorry, Royval. I thought for some reason that Royval was a replacement, but Royval dropped out the fight. So I think now you have a Azu Armabayev from Kazakhstan making an appearance there. So shout out to Azu for saving the main card there. But him versus Royval would have been pretty good. The UFC haven't updated the website, by the way. And then after that, we have the big boy card, UFC 313 Pereira versus Ankalaev, March 8th. So boy, we have 4. No, okay, we're gonna have 1 week off, I think, at the end of February, And then we're going to have Pereira versus Ankalaev. And there's going to be a fantastic... Oh, and we have Justin Gaethje there versus Dan Hooker. Oh, my God. King Green, Bruno Silva. Yeah, that's going to be a good card. I'm excited for that one. So, I'll be here to break it down. You can come to me. You can count on me to giving you the best breakdowns, the best predictions, and the best rants for any MMA or fighting related topics. So, shout out. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. Great start of your week. Stay positive. And yeah, peace.